It's me again. Mr. Nevitt interrupted me, even though I have a sign that says, "Please do not disturb recording a lecture." But I'm supposed to keep my door open constantly. But in any case, I was having a hell of a time describing this stuff anyway. But on page 24, basically they have these different rules, these different terms: privacy boundary, permeability rules, privacy boundary, ownership rules, privacy boundaries, linkage rules, all of which don't really matter a hill of beans. The main sort of overarching idea here is that we try to coordinate with other people to manage the flow of information, and certain there are certain rules and regulations that are policies, but then there's also sort of things that we negotiate with other people, and it becomes sort of norms of what is appropriate on certain social networking sites. That's my take on it. The fifth principle. So that fourth principle was just this idea that it predicts that once personal information is shared, it moves from individual ownership to collective ownership, and all those little details is just how we negotiate with other people to manage that information once it is out there. So if for instance, tagging. I post something and I decide I'm going to tag you, because you're in the picture or you have something to do with it. You can take the tag off if you want to, or maybe you have in your own privacy settings, you have to get permission to be tagged or whatever. So it's how we negotiate those types of things that I think the book is trying to get at. That the book that you don't have. The fifth principle is that basically, if that coordination doesn't work very well, we have what the book calls boundary turbulence. It's like you're in the airplane, and I like turbulence in the airplane. It's fun. I really don't like to fly, but I'll fly a lot. But I don't like to fly. I used to hate to fly, but now I don't mind flying. Speaking of flying, here's my Millennium Falcon. I got this in 1977 or 78 for Christmas. It flies. Yeah. They had a Star Wars themed dinner in the dining hall last night. I was up here for school or for teaching class, and I went over there. I wasn't as creative as I wanted it to be. They had like a hand solo burger. I thought they'd have like a hand sandwich or a Chewbacca chicken. I didn't say they didn't really have Chewbacca chicken, but I was joking that they had Chewbacca chicken, but there was hair in it. Okay, so in any case, principle 5, boundary turbulence, and that is when we are not coordinating well with others. Hey, you tagged me on that. I didn't want you to tag me on it. Or, hey, you shared this. I didn't want you to share it. Blah, 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 blah. So, or as I say here, I take a picture of myself in a Speedo on the beach, which I would never wear a Speedo. I barely go to the beach. And then I post it for my mom. Because, who else? Never mind. And so somebody finds that picture and then this is why people tweet stuff and then take it off. Otherwise, we got boundary turbulence all over the place. Okay, okay, so that's the fifth principle. Okay, so given this information, and a lot of this information, the communication privacy management, it was not ever meant for social networking sites. So a lot of the things that they're doing here is just saying, okay, here's some theories out here about people, how they negotiate information generally, and then let's apply it to seeing to CMC, even though I've already sort of done that. But one of the things that the book doesn't, well, it sort of talks about this. It moves very quickly, and once it tries to describe communication privacy management theory to CPM and SENS disclosure practices. And so it talks about all these various things. There's influence of decision criteria and privacy disclosure choices. All this so sciencey, so very sciencey. But one of the things that I wanted to do before then is to sort of tell you about self-disclosure and disclosure theory generally. And you probably have already learned some of this stuff if you've taken an interpersonal communication class. But generally, backing up a little bit, disclosure is important when we think about issues of relationships. It is very, very important. We cannot have relationships unless we disclose what was private information with other people. And so the practice of self-disclosure, generally speaking, moving something from private to more public, or at least private to a few other people know it, is essential. It's an essential communication practice, and essential at creating and maintaining and growing any sort of relationship, whether that's a friendship or a romantic partnership or whatever. So oftentimes when we think about self-disclosure, we think in a couple of different ways. We think in terms of the breadth, how much you've disclosed, but also the depth, how personal or not is that disclosure. And there are several reasons, apart from just creating and maintaining and growing relationships, why people self-disclose in the first place. Catharsis is one of them, and we see that online as well. But this is just general, but we see this online. I need to get something off my chest. I'm pissed off about something, and so I'm going to let her fly because it makes me feel good. Even though what makes me feel good might be bad. Losers. Reciprocity. Oftentimes somebody will disclose to us and we feel the need to reciprocate. I am now going to disclose to you because you disclosed to me. Sometimes that doesn't work out and it's always awkward. Self-clarification. Sometimes, was I right, or to somebody thinks something about you and that's not true, so that's not what I meant, blah, blah, blah. Self-validation. Hey, look at me. Look at what I did. I won this award. I won the award for the most professorial person in this office right now. When Steve was in here, that wasn't the case. Identity management, obviously. We disclose certain things and not other things, so we can manage how people see us. Relational management and enhancement, again, when we are in our relationships with whoever, we let people know certain things about us and not other things about us. And again, we always have these boundaries, and boundaries are constantly, in flux and problematic in lots of different ways, and people step over the boundaries, but who cares? But sometimes people care. But in any case, how we manage our relationships is in large part in the processes of what we let people know about us.